What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode. I'm Cassandra.
And I'm Joseph, and it's time for The Perspective.
Alright, so let's get into it. So, I want to bring to your attention, well, I'm pretty sure it's already at your attention about Drew and Ralph.
Okay.
So, how do you feel this whole thing about, I've been hearing that maybe Courtney is not a real cousin.
Mm-hmm.
She's maybe like Ralph's, mistress or something. I even saw that she lived in Tampa around the time that Ralph was in Tampa. What was that season?
Last season.
Yeah.
So,
what's your view on that?
So, I guess the first thing I would say is Medea always used to say, don't leave anybody around your man, even your family members. So, I guess that would be the first thing I would tell Drew. Okay. Listen to Medea. Mm-hmm. But I'm conflicted on it because in the beginning, it seemed like Drew was team Courtney. Mm-hmm. And then it seemed like it switched. So, Ralph met Courtney first at the party. And then, right? This season, Ralph met Courtney.
Yeah, what party?
Didn't somebody have a party? Who had a party in the beginning?
Oh, talking about Ross's birthday party.
Ross's birthday party. Mm-hmm. And Drew wasn't there. So when Drew came to the next event, they were hugging, laughing, like they knew each other. They was calling Ralph each other cousin and stuff. Mm-hmm. So that should have been the time she should have did the research. Not at the end of the season, we're now saying that's not Ralph's cousin.
Right.
Because you put on the portray in the beginning that was his cousin.
She did.
So I'm conflicted. I don't know if it is or if it ain't.
Right. I mean, we won't know that until they really tell us about how the family dynamic works.
Right. Because my thing is, if you know somebody's unless, I don't know about reality, but I'm just thinking if this person is being interviewed or potentially going to be a person on this show, will we have not already known, oh, this was Ralph's cousin? You get what I'm saying? Like, wouldn't they have known?
It would go back to how did she even get on the show?
Right.
She came on as a friend of Sheree, right?
Yeah.
So it may have not come up, but I'm pretty sure Sheree had to tell her who were the girls that were hanging around.
Right. I just felt like that because again, okay, if you look at it, remember Courtney and Candy had a affliction because supposedly Courtney said that Candy was calling around asking who she was or something.
Right.
So wouldn't Drew have already known this too?
Possibly, but not necessarily.
Right. Shouldn't I know most of my husband's family, or my husband should know if this is his cousin or not?
Not necessarily. It depends on how far down the line that cousin is. Now, first cousin, second cousin, maybe even the third cousin. Okay. Yes, your significant other should know that this is your cousin.
Right. But for them, the way they carried on, they act like it was first or second cousin.
They did.
Like how close they were, how hugging, hanging out and stuff. They had like their first or second cousin.
They did.
Wouldn't you known if this was your first second?
I would.
I'm not gonna carry on like that with my fifth or sixth cousin.
No. And then I don't know if you saw on the reunion when Andy was asking Courtney about their cousin relationship, and Courtney said something about
somebody's married to somebody.
Yeah, and then the house that she would go to, Ralph would be at that same house, not at the same time, but they both spent time at that family member's house. So they were close enough, maybe not to know each other then, but to me now that you know that I'm your cousin, they were close enough to know that, oh, I used to be at Aunt so-and-so's house, know, and me too. So they were that close to be around that same family member.
Okay. Again, it all boils back down to don't leave people around your man if you're going to feel some type of way at the end.
That's true.
I guess, so leading into this, I guess another question we can ask is, okay, we know Ralph was going to Tampa, doing what he was going to do in Tampa and stuff like that. Would you allow your spouse to continue to take long distance trips without you and you not know where they are or what they're going to be doing or anything like that?
Of course not. That is not healthy for the relationship, in my opinion.
So how much information do you need to know?
I need to know everything.
Oh.
I need to know where you're going to be. I need to know how long you're going to be there. I need to know what you're going to be doing. Why are you going? Like, you just can't say, oh, I'm going to Tampa for the weekend. And you walk out the door and think I'm going to be okay with that. No, I need to know what's the whole reason for this trip.
Okay.
Even if it was, I need to go take a breather. Because I feel like everybody should have that moment where they say, I need to go take a breather, take a break. You know, we've been busy this week for the last month. You know, just like a wife or a mother has that option, you know, a father or a husband, or, you know, they should have that option as well, as long as they're doing the right thing.
Right. So, okay. So there can't be no hidden secret or no.
No.
So what happens if there's a change of plan? They need to call you,
Yes.
let you know. Oh.
If they change hotels, I need to know that you're changing hotels. If you say, hey, even if you meet one of your buddies down there, not like y'all plan to go, but you went to a bar and you saw one of your buddies and you say, oh, you remember I told you I was going to be doing XYZ, but that's changed because I saw, you know, my homeboy Mark down there, so we decided we was going to hang out.
Right.
As long as I know, I don't have to speculate anything.
Okay. So will that, okay, being that you need to know every detail, does that mean you don't trust them, or the trust is I'm letting you go without me?
The trust is me letting you go without me so that I can continue to trust you. Now I need to know, why are we taking this trip without me and or the kids?
You say you need to know that?
Yes, I need to know. I need to know. Why are you going by yourself?
So do you not think that sometimes us men, we don't need self-care or just a time away from the family to decompose, get our thoughts together? You don't think we need things like those?
Yes.
Okay.
But as long as you're doing the right thing.
Okay.
Like you can't say, well, I need a moment. But if you're not participating in me raising these kids, taking care of the house, you know, going to work, like, why do you've been having your self-care because you're not helping me. But I do feel like a man that is working and taking care of his family, whether he's a single father or married with children, I do feel like men do need self-care as well.
Okay. So one of the things you just brought up, I got a question about. You. So why are you shaking your head? What?
I don't know.
No, this is a good question.
Okay.
Hopefully, I don't step on anyone's toes. But you said if you're helping raise the kids, you know, doing the laundry, cooking, washing the kids, things like that. So in a relationship, do you think those things should be 50-50? Do you think one should do it more than the other? How does that work with kids and without kids? How do you think that works? What's your viewpoint?
Well, with kids, I believe that the two parties should sit down and say, this is what I'm going to do, this is what you're going to do. Like, at least if I'm washing, you know, the clothes and folding them and putting them up, okay, let me just take it a step further. If I'm doing everything inside the house, then I need for you to at least do the things on the outside, like cutting the grass and, you know, doing all that extra work on the outside. And also helping if the kids have activities. If I drop them off, you can pick them up, vice versa. You know, we both go to the games together. Like, it's a partnership. So it shouldn't be one person doing everything, because that will burn that one person out.
Right.
And then once that person is burned out, then the other one is like, well, why are you laying down? Like, come on, these kids need to eat. Like, what you mean? I've been doing this all day.
Right.
If I'm burned out from doing this at least 3 days out of the week so far, you can take at least the next 2 days and we can half up, you know, the last day.
Right. Okay.
Does that answer your question?
It do. You know, I just was curious, you know. So what happens, you said with kids, what happens if you don't have kids? What happens if you're in that building relationship? You maybe just moved in together. Do you still split the responsibility?
Yes.
But is that something that you should establish day one?
Yeah, well, even before y'all move in together, as soon as decided that you're going to move in together, then you should be like, okay, so how are we going to take care of the house? Like, how are we going to do the bills? Are we going to split everything down the middle? Or am I just going to pay the mortgage and you pay everything else? Or I'm going to pay the rent and you pay everything else? That needs to be discussed prior to, so there's no confusion.
Okay. And if this person say they're paying all the bills, but you take care of the house, would you be in agreement to that or no?
I feel like I should contribute to the bills as well. I don't feel like the one person should just only be contributing.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah, but it depends on the people. Everybody is different.
Everybody's different.
What I may like, the next person or you may not agree with. But that's just my perspective.
So I feel as though I do agree with you that when coming into the relationship, you should establish those norms. I would say norms of the relationship, because you want to make sure that you are. Someone is not feeling like they are being mistreated or misused or not. You get what I'm saying? Like they're not. It's not. We're not on the same level.
Right.
But sometimes you have to know someone in order to know things. Like for me, for example, growing up, I wasn't one that cooked or washed clothes or made my bed. I still don't do them things, but I'm not one that I'm not one that did those things. So in a relationship, it can't be expected for me to jump out the gate and know how to do those things if I didn't have to do it growing up. So do I get some slack or am I still going to have to learn these things?
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think, I'm going to answer your question with a question.
Okay.
So, since you didn't grow up doing those things, do you think that you could ease into doing it? You may not do it on day one, but if you relay that to your partner and say, hey, I never did these things, growing up. So how do you expect for me to go into this day one cooking?
Right.
Do you want me to, are you going to give me a time frame? Are you going to help me get there? Are you going to show me how to cook at least the simple things and I can just, build on that?
In my mind frame, my mindset, this is my mindset, it's different. So I'm thinking about being catered to. So I'm like, well, I ain't had to do this growing up, so why do I have to do it now? That's my mind frame.
Okay.
Now I know that's not the right mind frame.
Okay.
But that's just how I think.
Okay.
And you got to blame it on my mama. that's just
okay.
So again, with people like me that don't know or didn't have to do it, do people give us slack? Are we going to be cut slack? Or are we going to be thrown out because we're not doing A, B, and C, and D? But again, we wasn't trained or taught to do those things.
Okay.
And sometimes, looking at my kids now that I teach, I try to make sure they have those values in the classroom. Of course, we can't wash clothes, all that type of stuff. But we do know how to do chores in the classroom, because I don't want them to grow up and not know how to do certain things. Because I can see some of my fourth graders that ain't got a clue. Like they don't know nothing about putting their stuff back in their folder, organization, bringing back materials from home to school. But eventually that stuff does affect them. Because what happens when you're in college or you're out on your own and you don't know how to get up on time or set an alarm clock or keep up with your bills. And you walk in, you click the clicker, it's still dark. You get what I'm saying? So yeah.
I think that, like I said earlier, prior to the move-in, that should be discussed.
Okay.
So if you sit down with your partner and say, and y'all are discussing how y'all going to do the bills, how y'all going to do like cooking and cleaning and things like that, I think that that would be the time to say, well, I didn't grow up learning these things. I was catered to. And then you can say, I don't expect for you to cater to me 100% of the time.
Right.
Help me get to that point where I'm doing things, maybe not on your level, but, to help you so you're not burnt out.
Right.
So that way you will feel like you're doing something. And then when it's time for you to take your self-care days, you will feel like you will appreciate the self-care more because you feel like you've been doing things other than just going to work.
Right. So with the thing you just said, I love how you said self-care. So is self-care something that's beneficial in a relationship for both parties?
It is.
Okay.
And I can be honest with you, me being a single mother, it is hard for me to take a self-care day.
Mm-hmm.
And not hard because of the kids, hard because it's like, when do I do this? Like, what is that? Like, I was just talking to my best friend about this because we both struggle with the same things as single mothers.
Okay.
And we made a vow to each other that we would start checking in on each other. And she mentioned that monthly she tries to at least go get a massage.
Okay.
And when I read that text, I was like, I mean, I may not go get a massage, because for me, that's just like going to take another nap. I think I take enough naps. But but I can at least go buy myself a shirt, even if I just go walk around in the store, go get my feet done, nails done, go to brunch or something, take a day off, not do it on a Saturday because that's already given to me, but go take a day off and, go to brunch. I don't mind taking myself on I'll do that in a heartbeat.
So you'll go eat by yourself?
I will. I didn't think I would at first, but my mom told me she did. She was like, after my dad passed away, and she was like, I don't taking myself, going to eat in a restaurant by myself, that felt weird to her because, my dad was always there with her. So I felt the same way. Like, even when the kids are in school, I always had their dad to go sit and eat lunch with or go to breakfast with, while they're in school. But go sit by myself, at first it was very uncomfortable. But now it's like I can go do it. What made me feel more comfortable was to go sit at a bar.
Okay.
Sometimes I get a drink, sometimes I don't. It's more comfortable just sitting at the bar or in the bar area, at least, because it's multiple people doing it by themselves.
Right. Okay. So back to what we were talking about. You do think that self-help days are beneficial for both parties?
Yes. Both parties need to take a day to really go reconnect with themselves, because especially after, you can do it after a long week, in the middle of the week, to get refueled for the remainder of the week. But both parties need to take time to themselves just to woosah, because you're constantly in that person's face. You wake up together, you go to bed together, you get dressed together, like you're doing all these things together, but you do need time to yourself to go, just have a woosah moment, even if you go in another room and just journal.
Right.
Just putting it out. You may not be able to talk to your partner about something specific, but you can journal it. Type up an email and not send it to that person. Just to help you.
Those are one things that I say I do. Like, I still, I'm not in elementary school anymore, but I like to receive letters. I like that, because I don't know, it's just a kid in me sometimes. But I would love to get a letter that just something that I don't hear every day. You can just pour your heart out into that letter, but it's just nice to read and be able to reply. And maybe because I send so much emails, I like reading, but I don't know, I just find that, maybe that's my little weird thing, but.
No, but you know what I do? Every so often, I write a letter to my husband.
Okay.
I don't know who that person is.
Okay.
But it'll be something like, oh my God, today I did XYZ. This is how it made me feel today. Like, I'm so glad you're here with me to get, through this situation. Like, I love you so much. Like, I do those things like that. And when I do, I write it, I put it in the envelope, I seal it, and I have a little box at home that I put it in.
Wow. That's cute.
So whenever that person finds me, So whenever that person finds me, then one day, like maybe on an anniversary or something like that.
Because I was about to ask, when would you bring the letters out? You don't want to scare
no,
them.
This will be after like we get married or whatever.
Okay.
I will, say, what I used to do in my single days, and then he'll say like, what? And I'll say, I used to write a letter to you, and it'll probably weird him out.
Right. Because I can see it. Somebody telling me something like, I'm like, okay.
It will probably weird him out.
Okay.
But I would say, well, I wrote a letter because now one thing that I've learned is that we can pray and ask God about anything. But if we don't do the word.
So this is like manifesting.
Yes.
Putting it out there.
Yes.
Okay.
Like at the top of the year, my pastor preached on this is a year of manifestation.
Okay.
And one of my favorite podcasts, which is the Dear Future Wifey, his for this season that they're in, I think, is about miracles and manifestation.
Okay.
And so I just believe in doing the work.
Okay.
So yes, I will go out on a date or two. Yes, I'll have a person that I constantly talk to. But I also have to work on myself, work on my attitude, work on my delivery, things like that. But in working on myself, I found out, write a letter. And I don't just do it for, my future husband. I do it for my kids too.
Right.
So like I wrote a letter from my daughter. I said, it's your 16th birthday. So when she's 16, I can give her the letter.
Right.
So those are just one of those things that
I like that. I may start doing that for my future children.
Yeah, that's a little tip for you guys out there.
and then another thing I think about is just, for example, God forbid if something happened, your kids, our kids, would be able to read those and still have those memories and those, something else. Just think about, my parents, that'd be something I would love to have, if anything happened. So yeah, I think that'd be great for a keepsake, a great keepsake. But yeah, I love that. So with the manifesting and, the Future Wifey podcast, do they give you like steps on things you should be doing?
Well, I have this manifestation book that I got from 5 and Below.
Okay.
Don't sleep on 5 and Below now.
Shout out to 5 and Below.
So it gives you a step by step. So every week you take this one phrase and you repeat it.
Okay.
So one day you repeat it 3 times. The next day 6 times. And then it's not every day, but it's like every other day.
Right.
So in between those days, you're just writing out what you want to happen. It say in the beginning, it says, if you're doing this in the morning, how do you want your day to go? And then if you're writing this in the evening, how did your day go? So one day I totally went off the book. I did how did I want my day to go, and I wrote in the evening how my day went, so I can see did I meet any of those goals today. And that's still talking about self-care because you want to make those goals for yourself. I'm going to start doing monthly goals.
Okay.
Just like a few, just to see how I progress in my singleness, because it is a hard journey, especially when you're trying to get yourself together, heal from a relationship, and then take care of your children all at the same time. And then you throw in work, you throw in church, you throw in school. So you have to have that time where you can just say, this is just for me. Even if it's 30 minutes. This is just for me, even for you.
And that's what I'm thinking here now. I'm like, I don't take the time. And that's what I'm thinking about now. Like, how can I take time to not just turn off? Because even if I'm home, I'm still thinking or working or on my phone. It's just always work 7 days a week. And so,
you gotta listen. You have an iPhone, correct? So on your iPhone, in case you didn't know, there's this little thing called Focus. I know you've seen it.
Right, I've seen it.
You can set your focus for different things. You can even change up what they already have.
Okay.
And you can set it up, because I know emergencies come. So you can set it up to where only a certain people can get through, not everybody. Like when it's just me and Jesus, nobody getting through. But like I have a focus on there for personal time. Okay, so only like my mother and my siblings are getting through, because in case of an emergency.
Right.
And even sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just turn everybody off. If they need me, call Jalen. You know, call him if you really, really need me.
Right.
And sometimes I tell them, hey, if y'all need me, I'm about to do X, Y, Z. Call Jalen, or I just don't. I just figure they'll call Jalen anyway if they can't get me. But you have that on your phone.
Okay.
You have businesses. You're a teacher. You need to take that, and the best time to probably do it, I would say, do you take time? I know you take time to like grade papers and stuff like that. Would be the best time to do it. So right after you finish doing that,
Okay,
you can shut everything off. You know, you can even go sit in the car, go for a drive. It doesn't always have to be you're doing something.
Right.
You can go for a drive, go sit in a room by yourself and just breathe.
Right.
You know.
Okay. Yeah, that's gonna be something I implement next week. I'm gonna start doing.
Yeah.
I need to. I've always said I needed to take a break because, you know, first of all, life is short and I don't want my heart giving out because I'm stressed or whatever. So I do need to take some time.
Taking time for yourself is not selfishness.
Right.
I want people out there to know that self-care is not you being selfish, especially for my mothers and my fathers out there. That time is not being selfish. You're taking time for yourself because you want to be great for your children, for your family, for your spouses. Even when you go to work, you want to be great. You want to do your best at your job. You don't want to be burnt out from everything, and now you can't even do your work good because you're so burnt out.
Right. I think the biggest thing with for me and what I think some people may agree with is that we don't know how to do self-care. You know what I'm saying? We can hear it all day long. We hear it all day long. Like one of my assistant principals on her weekly previews that she gives out, that they sent out on Fridays, her last thing that she put under her section is take some time to practice self-care. But do people really know what that is?
I don't think so. And you know, at my job, I think is it Fridays? I don't know, because I be putting that chat on mute because they just be going at it. But I do try to go in there and, you know, read back, you know, every so often so I'm not behind. But one of the HR directors, she says the same thing, take time for self-care, but also put like a suggestion. So that may be something that you can even implement to your business at your businesses.
Right.
Take time for self-care, even if you're not doing it, but you want them to be the best at what they're doing.
Right.
So because if they're the best, then you're the best.
And just like today, one of my human resource manager, she's also my cousin, and she texts me with an issue, and I said, today is Saturday. I ain't want to hear nothing about this particular company. And she bust out laughing. She said, I know, I right, because we normally always dealing with things. And that's going to be another topic we're going to talk about, is that do people take advantage of certain type of people? Because I feel like some of the things that we handle on Saturdays, a lot of companies don't. Because like Red said in that movie, my office hours are from 9 to 5.
That wasn't Red. That was Pinky.
Oh, whoever it was.
Red was the guy from, that is Friday. But no, that was Red. I'm thinking about Pinky.
Yeah, Red was
on 5 Heartbeats.
You're right. He said his office hours are from 9 to 5. And I just feel like sometimes my office hours go past that.
You need to set office hours.
Yeah, I gotta let people know I don't handle stuff like that on Saturday and Sunday. And so, like I was saying, most companies don't do that. Like I can't call the school district I work for and say, hey, I got blah 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 issue, let's fix this now. No, what? Guess what? First of all, nobody's not going to answer. And then secondly, when I do probably call them on Monday, I probably got to put in a request.
Yeah,
it's not
going to be
process. Right. It's not going to be an instant thing, but sometimes people feel like I have to jump and answer situations instantly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what takes away from my self-care time because I have to take care of another issue past the office hours.
Let me tell you something that I've learned working in this HR world.
Mm-hmm.
Their emergency is not my emergency.
But see, I'd be so scared that if people don't come to work.
No, because I would even have people ask me, do you work past 5? Like for me to do something. And I'm like, no, first of all, I'm not salary anymore. I used to be salary. Now I'm hourly.
Okay.
So if I work overtime, I have to ask for that.
Oh.
So,
okay. Let's pause for a second.
Okay.
And then come back. So when you work overtime, you have to ask, can you work overtime? What you have to do, send an email?
I just ask my supervisor, like, hey, this is what's going on. Can I finish it? You know?
Okay. I just need, okay, now go.
What was I saying? Oh, I've had people to ask me like, hey, can you do this or do you work till after 5? And I'm like, no, I work until 5. And then like I just said, if I need to work over, it has to be like something really needed for me to work after 5 o'clock. But no, because now that's my time.
Right.
I'm giving the company 8:30 to 5.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So
and you have families.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my children does things after school, and I have to be available for that. I don't want to, be so burnt out from work that I'm not available, for my children. I want them to see me.
Right.
But
then again, we do have to realize that sometimes we do have to work over our 9 to 5. Yes, but it shouldn't be a constant every single day because in leadership positions you're going to have to take some work home sometime, and I do understand that. But at the end of the day, we still have to figure out how to turn off, and my turn off is when I'm asleep. And I feel like I do deserve more time because when I'm asleep I don't know I don't know if I'm relaxing or not. I might be having a nightmare. I might be running from somebody.
Not a nightmare.
So you don't have nightmares?
I do.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what I'm calling nightmare.
What'd you call them?
I had a bad dream. Nightmare is kitty.
Okay. Once again, for the viewers, I am a school teacher. I teach 4th grade. I own preschools. Most of my terms and stuff I say are kitty because I talk to kids more than anything. I talk to 50 kids in my class a day. And then, like I said, the preschools. But I do have bad dreams, excuse me.
I
know. But, yeah, so I feel like, yes, I do need that time before I go to sleep to, And then my thinking, when I'm thinking of self-help, I'm also thinking about processing my day. What went well, what didn't went well. Like you said earlier, who did I not snap on that day? Because people have been trying me, but I've been great. I've been holding it together. But sometimes I have to process things to make sure that I handle the situation good. Because sometimes I do react. And when I react, I do say and do things that I shouldn't. So if I had the time to have self-help practice, that would be my time to apologize and reflect on maybe I shouldn't have said it that way. I meant what I said, but I maybe shouldn't have said it that way.
Right.
So I think I do need that time, especially with me doing so much, and now I'm adding more to my plate. I feel like I'm definitely going to need that time. So
you'll get there, and it takes time because I didn't just learn this yesterday. I've been learned this even when I was married. I was being told about self-care, but I'm just like, self-care? I don't have time to do that.
Right.
No, you have time. You just have to make the time, just like you make the time for everything else. So that's one thing that I want a goal for me for the rest of the year is to take those moments to say, okay, my goal for this month is to have one day just for me.
And one day a week or one day a month?
I'm gonna start out slow and do one day a month.
Okay, well, I'm gonna accept the challenge with you. So I'm gonna do one day a month. I think I can handle that. Just, a whole day?
A whole day. Well, at least half the day.
Okay.
You can at least do half the day.
I could do half. I can do half a day. And it can't be like on a Saturday and Sunday because you said those are given.
Those days are given to you anyway. So it has to be a day. And it doesn't, and you can still go to work, but what are you going to do with the rest of your day?
Right.
Are you going to spend that time doing work? Calling your businesses to see if everything is okay?
Mm-hmm.
You have people in place, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so you have people in place. Utilize them. They should only be calling you for drastic emergencies.
Right. Okay. Y'all hear that, people? My workers. So when I send out that scale that Mr. Joseph is on self-help day, don't bother me. Unless it's an emergency.
And you gotta think about it. You have people that wants to learn from you.
Right.
Like one day I want to open up a business, and I may have to come to you and say, like, how are you handle, or how did you handle this or that?
Right.
And I want you to be able to tell me, like, get people in place.
Right. That's the biggest thing. Get people in place and people you can trust. That's because you cannot do it by yourself. That's what I'm learning. It's business is business. And what I'm learning is that you have to say it and mean it. Business is business. When you learn what that means and you live by it, you'll be fine. I'm still adjusting to it because sometimes I forget that it is a business and I become soft-hearted and things start to happen. Like Tara said all the time, you doing too much, you're doing too much. Like, and you let things go and you shouldn't. So again, when I say business is business, my partner, she says it all the time. Business is business. We gotta mean what we say, stick to it, go. Because at the end of the day, I've said this earlier today, what happens if we broke? Some people, they're gonna leave us and go work somewhere else.
Right.
But we still the broke people begging somebody, can we come work with them? And they knew we just had a business a couple of months ago.
Right.
I don't ever want to be in that place. So I'm learning that business is business.
It is.
That's gonna be my 2023 ending. Business, and I'm gonna take it into 2024. Business is business. So that's the biggest key. Take that with you. Get a great team, and you can do anything.
So my tip would be to always allow time for yourself. It may be hard. Coming from me, I'm telling you, it is hard to take time for yourself.
You should write a book.
No.
I feel like a book coming.
Why?
Well, some people need to hear. Well, maybe this is our book. Some people need to see other people's journey. You never know who else is going through things just like you. And that's what I don't see enough of here in Columbia or around us. People that are motivating or putting together empowerment things for people that go through. You see it on TV all the time.
Yeah.
And maybe it is here. I'm just not friends with those people. But for example, you watch Bell's Collective.
Yeah.
Okay, you know how they have the empowerment brunch for the girls and stuff. That. Or when you see the housewives, people doing things to empower each other, Mommy Nation, all of those things. We don't have enough of those things here. Like I said, maybe they are here, I just don't see them. But I feel like the more we have, the more support we can be for each other.
Okay. I mean, I'm not going to say yes to the book thing.
But no, not necessarily the book.
But I can have, I'm making this my platform to help somebody.
There you go.
And I don't know where this is going to take me. But what I can say, yes, it is hard to make that self-care day, but you just have to do it, because what you don't want to do is be laid out on the floor crying because you're so burned out. Guilty. Because I'm so burned out, and it doesn't mean that I'm weak because I'm so burnt out. It's just that times are timing.
Right. And I hate to cut you off. I'm gonna say this real quick, and this is another thing where I'm gonna touch on family. You gotta have those times to check in because you never know who in your family is struggling or going through things. Prime example, I never know she was on the floor crying, but now we know, and now we're able to be that support system because sometimes it is hard on people. We never, we can see from the outside, oh, it looks fine, but you don't know what's going on behind somebody's closed doors. But just to check on them and just to text and say, hey, are you okay today? Hey, is everything as well? For example, we got a cousin Patrice. She does great at making sure on the page and stuff. She checks in, so she'll post a positive message. You never know how those can benefit somebody that is down. For example, we have cousins that just lost their father. Different things. People need us. People need to know that we're still there after the aftermath.
Yeah, and I know I could do better, especially with those cousins that just lost their father. It's just, we get so wrapped up in our own things and we're thinking they're fine. And just like how y'all probably feel like I'm fine, I probably came around y'all and just had a argument with my kid's father or something. That maybe not have happened, but I'm just saying.
Right.
But you just never know unless you just check in with and I try to check in just with specific people, but I have to stop doing that.
But I get that. Yeah, I guess if we all had our specific people, but then we all had somebody that came back and related, then okay. You get what I'm saying? Because everybody can't talk to everybody.
Right.
But if we had that bond to where we can come back and say, well, I talked to such and such person, they're doing good, how is blank doing? Without anybody being mad or upset because they didn't talk to them.
Like a lot of my... I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Like a lot of my responses, like even with my own siblings, my brother would ask me how my sister is doing. You know what my response is? You should call her.
Oh. But sometimes you have to look at it as if I'm in the middle of a conversation with you, I'm just asking. It's not saying that I can't call or I'm not going to call, but I'm pretty sure you've already had the talk to her. So maybe that's what he meant by it.
I don't know, but he can call her. You could call. But no, and I do that because I have a bond with my brother. My sister has a bond with our brother.
Okay.
Then me and my sister have a bond.
It's all different.
Right.
Okay.
So, but one thing for certain, we should all check in on each other, whether it's siblings, cousins. We should all check in, even if we think that person is okay.
Yeah. I would love for us to be able to get together more, do things together. But I know we're all at different times in our life. But I just felt like our parents grew up together. They were together a lot in their younger days. And if we don't get together, then where does the tradition lie? With our children playing with their siblings? You know what I'm saying? Then it becomes divided. For example, like I don't have kids, but if I had a child, but my child know who Jaden, Eli, and Gabby is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if they don't see us all together, then what does it say for the next generation? Our parents did, and we saw it. So why can't we?
I think it's just life, and we got to stop using that as an excuse. Because I'm pretty sure our parents were dealing with stuff, whatever they were dealing with during their time. But now we're of age to where we're not forced to play with each other anymore. So I feel like I'm somewhere in my life, you're somewhere in your life, you're busy, I'm busy. I'm not going to call you today because you ain't calling me. He ain't called me. She ain't called me. So I'm not finna call her. We got to stop that. And just, because mental health is like serious. It's a big thing now more than ever because life is lifing, and we don't know what our family or our friends are going through. So even if we just say like, "Hey, just checking in," you all right? Okay, cool. I mean, we don't have to have a long conversation, but just making sure everything is okay.
Right.
And when things get hard or something goes bad, we do rally around each other. And even though the situation with my mom wasn't as drastic,
Mm-hmm.
but I did have, you know, family checking in with me to make sure that I was okay.
Right.
And I really do appreciate that. But we can't just wait till things like that
Right.
to happen to say, oh, let me text her and make sure she okay.
Right.
Even if it's just, you know, asking advice. Like I had one particular cousin to ask me advice about potty training.
Okay.
Even though she's older, but I was still able to give her that advice because my children are older. So, I mean, even if it's just things like that.
Right.
And then, you know, that may open a door for a new relationship, even though we already have one. But let's just say we didn't.
Right.
You know, that would have opened the door like, hey, let's go out and we can talk about it more. We could talk about other things too.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it may have to start with us,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm fine with. But we could be those ones to, you know, bring it
Back together.
Right. And it may take time.
It's gonna take time.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna take time because everybody has a life.
Mm-hmm.
We do understand that, but sometimes we take in that moment to just, like you say, check in.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we're having an event together or we just getting on FaceTime and all just laughing, talking,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or Zoom or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, just taking that time to make sure we're still there for each other and know everybody. Yes, everybody has friends. Everybody has their own immediate families,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still nice to have those cousins because once again, your cousins are like your brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
Most of us, you know, most of us all grew up together, so that's why I said most of us. So, yeah.
Okay.
So we got 2 things we need to work on.
Okay.
Okay.
So we just wanted to take the time today to just help ourselves, and then to help you guys out there that's watching. Always take time for yourself. Reach out if you need help. If you're going through something, even if that person doesn't really understand, but just having that close person to talk to is always good. Anything else you want to add?
That's it. So we want to thank you all for taking the time to view the perspective.
Have a good one.